Greetings, fellow exiles. Why do I start out every video like that and calling you and myself exiles? Well, first off, it's a good marketing tool to try to link all the videos together and make them sound more friendly. But more importantly, I call you guys exiles and me exiles because one of the characteristics of my target audience are Christians. And we're all exiles living on earth waiting to go to our final home. And lastly, as the letter of Jeremiah, the book of Jeremiah is important to me, and the letter he wrote in chapter 29 to the exiles is really important to me. So who are these exiles that Jeremiah is talking to? Well, let's do a little quick history lesson of ancient Israel. They started out a tribal nation, were unified, or got a king, eventually were unified under King David. There was some civil wars and stuff during King David. King Solomon took over, David's son, ran the unified kingdom his entire life, and shortly after he passed away, there was another civil war that permanently divided Israel into the ancient Israel into the northern the northern kingdom of Israel and the southern kingdom called Judah. Then the northern kingdom was wiped out, hauled off into exile, and intermingled and stuff with the Samaritans. So basically, they were gone. The southern kingdom was still there, Judah, but they screwed up a whole bunch. And eventually, God decided to judge them as well by having the Babylonians come in, destroy them, wipe them all off the face of the planet, or wipe a lot of them off the face of the planet, capture a bunch of them, haul them off to Babylon, destroy the temple, and put a vassal king on the throne. And in this darkest point, where most of the chosen people of God, most of them are either dead, gone, missing, hauled off into exile. There's no more temple for them to worship God at, and they don't even really have their own king to rule their country, is the lowest point in the history of Judaism up until that point. And Jeremiah writes a letter to these exiles that are in Babylon, and he tells them that don't be sad, don't be upset, that things may look bad, but God has a plan. And God is punishing them for their misdeeds. But even though they're living in a time of punishment, what they need to do is repent and start following God again and pray for the towns they live in, that the town will do well so they do well, and to plant gardens and grow strong and to grow their families so that way someday in the future when they get returned to Jerusalem and returned to Israel, the good God-fearing people will be strong again and able to rebuild the city and rebuild God's kingdom on earth. So that's what the message I'm trying to bring to everyone here is, that we need to pray for the cities, the countries, the towns we are living in. That way they do well, and we need to promote them doing well and strive for what's best for the country, the city, and the county, and all that. So that way we do well, and the other people living here do well too. That way when we go to heaven, and we need to produce more Christians, whether that be raising good godly children, or also equally importantly, talking to the lost and trying to explain to them and bring them towards the kingdom as well. That way, when we go to heaven, there'll be a good, large number of strong, godly people there. And there'll also be a good, strong number of godly people living in this country going forward to help build God's kingdom here on earth as well. That's also why I try to teach preparedness, is because I want people to literally grow gardens and be more fruitful and have the ability to take care of themselves and store food so they have the ability to take care of themselves and their family, but also be able to take care of their neighbors one YouTuber, Bear Independent, that I like, when him and his group, went down after the hurricane and found some with a trailer full of food, like a 40-foot trailer full of skids of food, and found some people, and they hand out these prepackaged food for the starving people and say, here, there's some food to fill your belly. And in it, they also put some tracts with some Bible verses and stuff to help feed their soul. And whenever they do this, they always lead a few people to Christ. So that's why I want people to store food, is not to hoard it. It's so that they can help other people too. And I want to help people. I don't have enough food to store to help everybody. But if I can get more and more Christians to be prepared for the bad times, they can help non-Christians and help lead them to Christ. Look at what, Joseph did in Egypt. Because he was a good, strong, God-following, God-fearing person, even when he was in prison, he was able to position himself to where he could save the entire population of Israel physically. And I'm sure he led some of those people towards God. I'm sure he talked to a handful of those people. And he was able to save his family. And in doing so, save the promised people, God's chosen people, in order to save and repeat the message over and over again till this day. If he wouldn't have stored up food in Egypt back then, we may not have known about God today through the Israelite people. All right, well, that's enough rambling for today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thank you for joining me on the journey to use God's gifts to grow his kingdom, prepare for the future, and live a better life. Thank you very much.